Coming up on today's video, we're going to roll through a 2-round mock draft as the Giants will have 3 picks in those first 2 rounds. I know, we're doing mock drafts before Thanksgiving. It is what it is. But if you want us to start doing more NFL draft content early, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon right now. Yo, what up, everybody? You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. And I know, Marshall, why are you doing a mock draft? Well, you're 2-8, the Giants. You got a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. I actually want to have fun talking about some. So we're going to break down a 2-round mock draft for the New York Giants. They have 3 picks. So we're going to break down 3 prospects. And you currently look at this 2024 NFL draft order. And by no means is this set in stone at all, but this is what the top 5 would be if the draft were to be today. The Chicago Bears own the first overall pick in the draft. That comes from Carolina due to the trade last year. The Panthers sit at 1-8. The Giants, as well as the Patriots and Cardinals, all sit at 2-8. But since the Giants had the worst strength of schedule, they are going to be picking second, where that will flip-flop in the second round. It will go Cardinals, Patriots, and then Giants. So the Giants, Patriots, Cardinals, and the Bears, they will have that 5th pick thanks to their 3-7 record. That game between the Giants and Patriots in a couple of weeks, the winner of that is probably going to lose out on Drake Maye and Caleb Williams. So I'm never going to root for the Giants to lose a game, but I'm not going to say I'm going to be upset if they do. A lot of needs on this football team right now, and I think the 5 biggest needs are as followed. Quarterback. And I'm not saying if you just get a quarterback, it's going to fix everything. But if you get a good quarterback, that helps your offensive line. And if you get a good quarterback, that makes receivers look better. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is the reason the Giants are where they are. There's a lot of reasons for that. I don't have a full show to break that down. But you need another QB. You need more help on the offensive line. You need more big-time playmakers on the outside on offense and on defense. I like Deonte Banks, but outside of him, you don't have any good corners on this roster. Dory Jackson will be a free agent. He ain't coming back. And I love Kayvon Thibodeau, and I love Dexter Lawrence. But outside of those 2 guys, you don't have anyone really that can get to the passer. I know Azeez Ojulari can, but when he plays, it's once in a blue moon. I will say this. If the Giants are picking inside the top 2 of the 2024 NFL draft, they have to take a quarterback. And it's not even because Daniel Jones has played bad this year, which I think we can all agree on. A lot of circumstances why he's played bad, but he has played bad. But the thing is, he's coming off a torn ACL. You're going to cut him after the 2024 season, and he's missed 8 games due to a serious neck injury in the last 3 years. So he has a bad neck, he has a torn knee, and he's got a terrible contract. You need to reset the quarterback position, and I believe the Giants will do so in this draft. You have a lot of picks as well, 7 total picks for the Giants, but you could potentially, if the draft were to start today and the draft order sits as it does, the New York Giants, they have 4 picks inside the top 102 picks. You got 1 first-round pick, 2 second-round picks, that's second-rounder via the Leonard Williams trade. You got a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. No 7th-round pick as you did trade that for Isaiah Simmons. But 4 picks inside the top 100. That's enough ammunition to really change the immediate future of this team. That should be 4 starters that you add. It's going to be up to Joe Schoen to grab the right guy. Obviously, the Bears have the first pick in this mock draft, and they selected quarterback Caleb Williams out of USC. And I think that is a good pick. I'm a big fan of Caleb Williams. He reminds me a little bit of Patrick Mahomes. He reminds me a little bit of Kyler Murray. He can make plays that not many other people on this earth can make. But there are some flaws to his game. I think he has 32 fumbles since he took over as a starting quarterback in college football, #1 by a landslide. I'm a little bit worried of some of the things that he does, like go in the stands and cry with his mom or talk to reporters after the game talking about he wants to go Netflix and chill with his dog. And I don't know about the painting the fingernails thing, but it's just a little bit weird. But he's going to be a damn good football player, and think we'd all be happy if he was a Giant. So the Giants are on the clock at pick number 2 after the Bears select Caleb Williams, and there was actually a trade offer that came in from the Green Bay Packers. The Packers, they offered the Giants pick number 6, pick number 40, pick number 48, pick number 71, and a 2025 second-round pick for the Giants' second overall pick and pick number 98. There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be trying to trade into that top 2. Should the Giants do it? I'm not so sure. I'll ask you, would you do this trade? Would you trade the second overall pick and pick number 98 for pick 6, pick 40, pick 48, pick 71, and a 2025 second-round pick? You're getting a pick number 6. You're getting 2 second-round picks, a third-round pick, as well as a second-round pick next year. Type A for accept, type D for decline. It's an intriguing offer, but at the end of the day, I'm going to decline that trade. On one side, it's like, Marshall, the Giants have a lot of holes on this team. The more darts you can have to throw, the more draft picks that you can make, the higher the probability of those guys panning out and being good football players. But at the end of the day, you're only as good as your quarterback in the NFL. And that's why I am going to select Drake Maye out of North Carolina to be the New York Giants quarterback with pick number 2. Look, Drake Maye is a stud. If Caleb Williams did not exist, Drake Maye would be the runaway favorite to be the number 1 overall pick. And 3 months from now, he may be the favorite to actually be the number 1 overall pick. I think Drake Maye is better than Bryce Young. I think he would have went number 1 that year and maybe even a couple of drafts before that. He is a phenomenal football player, and he has had one hell of a career as a Tar Heel. You look at what he's done the last 2 years, played in 24 games totaled. Last year, completed 66% of his passes, over 4,300 passing yards, a great touchdown interception ratio, 38 tutties, just 7 picks, and over 308 yards per game. And then he raised his level of play coming into this year. Not nearly as much talent around him this year, and he's still finding a way to win football games. 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, almost 315 yards per game, still completing north of 65% of his passes. He's a stud. And a lot of people say, well, Marshall, who does Drake Maye remind you of? I said this 3 months ago. I see Justin Herbert when I see Drake Maye. I don't know if Drake Maye has the elite arm strength that Justin Herbert has. I think Justin Herbert may have a top 3 arm in the NFL. I don't know if his arm is that strong, but Drake Maye is going to enter the NFL the day he gets drafted and will have a top 10 arm, elite arm talent out of him. Dane Brugler, who in my opinion is the best NFL draft guy in the business, works for The Athletic. He has Drake Maye over Caleb Williams. Dane Brugler's number 1 quarterback this year is Drake Maye, and I believe he may be on an island right now, but in 5 weeks, 6 weeks, a couple months, he may be one of many that has Drake Maye as number 1 overall. This is what Brugler said about Maye. He is cut from the same cloth as Justin Herbert. Maye continues to impress with his on-field command despite inconsistent help around him. A tall, well-put-together athlete, he has an explosive release with the touch to threaten every level of the football field. He still makes a few more reckless decisions than you'd want, but his timing has improved, and his aggressive decision-making is more of a strength than a weakness. Let's go through a little Drake Maye scouting profile. He is a prototypical quarterback. He is a cookie-cutter quarterback. If you could create a quarterback in a lab, it's Drake Maye. He's got prototypical size. 6'4", 230 pounds, and I believe through this draft process, he's going to put on a little bit more weight, and as he becomes a grown man, he'll get that grown man strength. He has an elite arm. You see him make these throws inside and outside of the pocket. What about essentially the touchdown that won the game for North Carolina, but then their defense folded and allowed Duke to go down the field and score on Saturday? He's on the left hash, drops back probably from about the 17, 20-yard line, and just fires an absolute piss missile to the back right of the corner, puts it in a spot where only his receiver can grab it. An elite throw, an elite arm. But he's also an underrated athlete. He has underrated athleticism. At 6'4", 230 pounds, he's not just a statue in the pocket. He can make plays on the run, but he can also make plays with his feet as a ball carrier. When you talk about the last 2 years for Drake Maye at North Carolina, these are his rushing stats. And the rushing stats in college football for quarterbacks are a little bit misleading because when a quarterback takes a sack, it affects their rushing yards. But I want you to just focus on this. Drake Maye, in his college career, has 11 games over 50 yards rushing. He has 15 rushing touchdowns and almost 1,000 rushing yards. Can you call him on design QB runs? Absolutely. That's not something that he's great at. That's not something that you want that guy to do. If it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, call a QB power, a QB draw from inside the red zone, he can get it done in that aspect. But probably my favorite thing about Drake Maye is he's super cool. He's super calm. He's collective, and he's always ready for the moment. He's just a clutch quarterback. He won the game this past Saturday against Duke 2 times in regulation in the final 5 minutes. But the North Carolina Tar Heels may have the worst defense in all of college football. And I know you might say, but Marshall, that's Duke. Well, Nick Roloff, producer Roll, you let me in on a little secret. Duke's one of the top 20 best defenses in college football this year. And another thing that I like about him when it comes to the clutch factor is this isn't a good North Carolina team whatsoever. So a lot of these games are coming down to the wire, and a lot of the times they're just looking at Drake Maye in the final 5 minutes saying, go win us the football game. So he's been in a lot of pressure-packed situations. He's been asked to go on a lot of 2-minute drills and 2-minute drives to go win the game. I'm a big fan of Drake Maye, and he may just be my number 1 quarterback. Got to watch the rest of the season, though, and do some more scouting this offseason. I'll ask you before we move on to the 2nd-round pick. 2 second-round picks for the Giants. Keep forgetting that. If you had to pick a quarterback for the Giants to start next year, who would it be? Type DJ for Daniel Jones, type CW for Caleb Williams, or DM for Drake Maye. I want to know what all of you have to say. Coming up next, we're going to make 2 more picks. The Giants are on the clock at pick number 36, and then I believe it's pick number 57 that they are once again on the clock. Obviously, those numbers will change as teams' records changes. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Prize Picks, the number 1 daily fantasy sports app in North America. And I'll say this. Look, the Giants are bad. They're not fun to watch. You don't got to fool anybody. But when you play Prize Picks, it makes the game entertaining. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. And when you use that link and you use that promo code, Prize Picks is going to match your initial deposit up to $100. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. All you do is create a lineup of 2 to 6 players and just choose more or less on their projected stat total. These are the picks that I'm going to roll with for this Sunday slate in the National Football League. I'm going to go with more passing yards for Dak Prescott. I saw him just absolutely torch the Giants, and I know this. The Panthers are much better. And I also saw the Cowboys defense get after Tommy DeVito and the Giants, so I'm going to go with less passing yards for Bryce Young. I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a big game this week against Washington. I'm going to go more on his rushing yards. You can use my picks, you can fade my picks, or make your own picks. Just do it with our proud daily fantasy sports partner, Prize Picks. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Alrighty, Giants back on the clock at the top of the 2nd round. They own pick 36 as it currently stands. And we talked about what are some needs the Giants have. They need more offensive line help. They need more playmakers on the outside on offense and on defense. So these were the 5 best players that were still on the board when the Giants were on the clock. You get a defensive tackle, Tyreek Williams in there. You get a tight end and Leonard Williams. You get an off-ball backer and Leonard Latu. And then you get an interior offensive lineman and Troy Fautanu, and then A.D. Mitchell, an explosive wide receiver out of the University of Texas. You just got a quarterback, rookie quarterback. You want to surround him with a little bit more talent. Obviously, I'd love to take a receiver here, but I'm going to make sure that Drake Maye has some time in the pocket to pass. Give me the interior offensive lineman, Troy Fautanu, out of Washington with pick number 36. I believe in the saying, invest in your investments. And I feel like the Giants ignored that too long for Daniel Jones, and I feel like they also ignored that a little bit too long for Saquon Barkley. So what am I going to do as the mock draft general manager for the Giants? I'm going to get some help up front. I think everybody in the world knows the Giants' offensive line is absolutely dog shit right now. They need to improve it. And Fautanu, his versatility is something that I love. He's allowed just 4 sacks in 30 games played in his college career and just 2 QB hits outside of those sacks. He could play left tackle. He could play guard. I think, though, he translates more to the inside of the offensive line, just like Dane Brugler thinks of the Athletic. He said this about Fautanu: a college left tackle and has the talent and length to stay outside, but his body and play style suggest that an NFL move to guard could be what is best long term. He has NFL-level feet and movements, and he is playing with better composure and committing fewer penalties than last season. It's the versatility, the ability to play multiple spots on the offensive line that has me fascinated about this prospect. No, we don't need a left tackle, but you may need a right tackle down the future. And you definitely need another guard on the interior of this offensive line. I will say this, though. I would rather sign an offensive lineman in free agency. The Giants have addressed the offensive line in the draft. They selected Evan Neal. They selected Joshua Azudu, Marcus McKeithen, and all these offensive linemen in the draft. They just missed on some of those picks. I think it just might be time to go and pay a veteran that's proven and can come in and raise the level of play. But I would not be upset at all if the Giants selected an offensive lineman in the early part of the second round. So you got a quarterback and you got an offensive lineman. I'm going to say it again. Invest in your investment. With pick number 57 via the Seattle Seahawks, thanks to the Leonard Williams trade, give me Jalen Polk, the wide receiver out of Washington, the Texas product. Invest in your investment. Get him some help up front, Drake Maye. Get him some help on the outside. Jalen Polk, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated wide receivers in this class. And when we actually get to draft day in April, he may not even be on the board at pick number 57. What I love about him is he brings some size to this wide receiver group. The Giants have a lot of smaller wide receivers. You talk about Wan'Dale Robinson. You talk about Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Polk, he is 6'2", almost 200 pounds. He can play on the outside, but he also can slide into the slot. I believe I saw that he has 41% of his snaps this year coming in the slot, so he could do both really well. But he's also a downfield target. And if you watch Drake Maye, he loves to throw the ball down the field, specifically those seam routes. 55 grabs this year for almost 950 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 17.1 yards per catch. I can hear it now. Maye to Polk. Let's freaking go. This is my final mock draft for the first 3 picks. I got Drake Maye at pick number 2. Got us a quarterback. Got us a leader. I'm going to go with Troy Fautanu, the interior offensive lineman out of Washington, pick number 36. And then I'm going to go with the wide receiver out of Washington, Jalen Polk. Couple of Washington people we're drafting. Got a good program, though. They're going to bring some good talent in this league this year. I want you, though, to be extremely critical of me right now. Get out your red pen and grade Marshall's mock draft down in the comment section. A, B, C, D, or F. And I've learned, if nobody gives your mock draft an F, it wasn't really a mock draft. So at least somebody tell me it was an F down below. I want to hear from you, though, A, B, C, D, or F. I appreciate everyone, as always, for tuning in. We're going to up our draft coverage on this channel because I'm getting kind of tired just talking about the football games. It makes me sad and not happy anymore. Make sure you're subscribed for free Giants content every day.